Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine. How are you guys doing? This is episode 191, and we're calling it WW3, ladies and gentlemen. WW3, which is in reference to last night. Max Holloway fought Arnold Allen, and going into the 5th round, Arnold Allen's coach said, "Alright, man, you have to go all out in this round." And Arnold Allen says, "World War III?" And the coach says, "World War III." And he's like, "Alright, say no more." I was like, damn, that was kind of badass. That was badass. Say no more. About to go all out. World War III. That was a pretty dope moment in a pretty exciting fight. Pretty good fight, I would say, for both of these gentlemen. So we're definitely going to talk about UFC Fight Night Kansas City, Missouri. We're going to talk about it. Once again, I just want to say, as far as like, fuck Kansas City and all this shit, I'm not pulling was it Algeo? Bill Algeo, I believe, who like won his fight and then proceeded to shit all over Kansas City. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm shitting on Kansas City for, and most UFC crowds, is cut that disgusting USA chant out. It's usually the most inappropriate chant. It's not like you guys are doing it in a let's show patriotism kind of way. It's usually in a very like, okay, I see what you guys are saying here kind of way. Like every time I go to like a show in like Vegas or some shit, and they'll bust out the USA chants. One time it was two people, a European guy and an African guy, dark skin and a light skinned guy, and there was a whole crowd of motherfuckers wearing MAGA hats, and they were all chanting USA during that fight. And I'm like, who do they even think they're cheering for right now? Who do they even think they're cheering for? None of these guys are American, but you're not real fight fans. You're here for the... It was a Kobe fight, mind you. I was there to cheer for Kobe myself, but that's neither here nor there. That's just how that went down, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. We're going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Kansas City, and we're going to talk about next week's card, UFC Fight Night, Pavlovich versus Blaydes. As you guys know, I'm not the biggest fan of heavyweight fights. To be honest, I've told you guys that a many times. I wanted to like do some more Adesanya bragging. Shout out to Israel Adesanya, who recaptured his middleweight championship last week. I wanted to shout out to him a little more in here. I was gonna put some clips of Izzy in here, but I just seen that nigga. I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but he was like giving props to Andrew Tate for reviving masculinity. So I was like, yeah, that's fucking weird. The shit he says is gross, and I feel like when I saw his the Andrew Tate interview on Your Mom's podcast with Tom Segura, and he's just geeking out to like Tom's wife, like throwing the shit back at him. He's geeking out, and it's like you can. So it's he doesn't believe this shit. This is clear that he feels like this is his gimmick, and it's working for him. But like, it's weird to me. So many people are like, "Nah, man," they're defending it. I feel like harder than he would if push came to shove. I feel like if push came to shove, he'd be fucking Alex Jones out there. He'd be on the stand saying, "No, this is a gimmick that I'm portraying in these videos. It's not real. This is a gimmick." He'd be fucking Alex Jones on the stand if push came to shove. Yeah, you got a lot of mixed martial artists and all that are like, we need to defend this guy. Maybe it's because he was once a part of combat sports, they feel like they gotta stand up for one of their guys, but I think people should fall back. Isn't he facing like sex trafficking like accusations? Didn't he just get released from jail? Isn't he currently facing charges? I feel like that's the wrong guy to promote at this point in the function, but that's neither here nor there. I guess that's just my opinion on it. Shout out to Adesanya as for winning your belt, but I say that's the one thing there where I was like, I don't even understand. Like, I don't see why you don't need to promote that dude. You do not need to promote that dude, but what you need to do is follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Babylon5Pod. If you guys would like to get in contact with your boy, email this podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys would like to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, I'd appreciate it so much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, yeah, I said merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. You can be my patron today, ladies and gentlemen. Last night, so as you guys should know, I rolled with my boy Arnold Allen to beat Max Holloway. I predicted that he would stop Max Holloway, and I think I said 2, if not 3. I feel like 3 is the safer guess. It would have been a safer guess, but that doesn't matter because last night Max Holloway proved that he's still here to stay. He still levels above most of the top. You know, he did just beat Yair, and then Yair went on to become interim champion. But he did just beat Yair. You know, if anything, like, yeah, that Yair even getting an interim title fight with Max Holloway just sitting in the wings, and the only reason you don't give it to Max is because he just fought Volkanovski so many times. You know what I'm saying? Like that shouldn't even have happened. And if Yair, man, I'm as happy for Yair as they come, man. If Yair is able to somehow beat Volkanovski, more power to him. But then, like, you still got Max there. And Max proved to be a force against my boy Arnold Allen. He gets the unanimous decision victory over Arnold Allen. And Max was coming on real fast. Like, at the start of the fight, he was just coming at Arnold with these fucking combinations. Like I was saying, Arnold was gonna be there with the punches and bunches, and he was there a little bit throughout the fight, and definitely in the 5th round when he said World War III, he really came at Max. He turned it on. He was landing heavy shots, a lot of heavy shots, and he was landing heavy shots throughout, but he was having trouble finding Max. But right away, Max caught him with like a 3 or 4 piece combination, like with the hands, and it froze Max right away. I mean, it froze Arnold right away, and I felt like Arnold did not think the fight was gonna start out that way with just bop, bop, bop. He was all over him, and it really, I just think he wasn't prepared for Max to come at him in that way, and that really kind of shook him after the first round. Arnold is like, I'm waiting for him, and he tried to step it up a little bit in the second, and he was landing a lot more, but then Max is turning it up in the third. It was fair game, fair play to Max Holloway, fair play to Arnold Allen. It was a good fight. Max was just better. Alright, that was the first 5-round fight. I believe Arnold Allen versus Calvin Kattar was scheduled for 5 rounds, but it ended via injury in the first. So this is the first time that Arnold has shown that he has cardio at least to make it through the 5 rounds. He didn't really he stepped on the gas in the 2nd round. That's when he was really starting to come forward. And then he kind of slowed down a bit for the 3rd and the 4th. And then in the 5th, it was clearly, you had to empty the gas tank. And he was landing. So, I don't know. I'm not saying he wasn't necessarily trying to win the fight early on. But even when I was watching Dana White's post-fight press conference, it's had he done that in the 3rd round, had he stepped on the gas like that in the 3rd round, it would have been a completely different fight. Who knows what would have happened if he was all right, I'm down. It's time to step on the gas, or at least in the 4th. You know what I'm saying? Where you're potentially down 2 rounds, or in the 4th, I had to step on the gas. But it's a learning experience for Arnold Allen. Arnold looked good in there, but Jesus Christ, man. They look like they're 2 different weight classes. Max looked gigantic. There's not, Arnold Allen has the reach advantage, as it says, but, dude, Max is gigantic in there. It was hard for Allen to get in on fucking Max, who has the shorter reach, but he's fucking spinning elbows. He's touching that boy up. He was having fun in there. Max was having fun. So it was a good fight. It's a learning experience for Arnold Allen, man. I think he could still be champion one day. Even Max, after the fight, he says that he believes Arnold Allen is very high level, and he said Arnold Allen said he wants to come out to Hawaii, possibly train with him, and he says maybe in 3 or 4 years, because he feels like those 2 are probably going to fight again in the future. So he doesn't want to train with him right now because he feels like they're going to fight again. That's how good he thinks Arnold Allen is. And they asked him why he didn't trash talk, because he usually talks shit to people while he's in there. And he's like, dude, this is the nicest dude I've ever fought. He's like, there's accidental low blows, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And he's coming to hug me. He's like, he was just too nice. I couldn't trash talk that guy. He's like, after every round, he's giving me a high five. Good job. Fuck yeah, Arnold Allen. But unfortunately, he does not get the W as I predicted. Max Holloway is talking about fighting Korean Zombie next. He was like, oh, I wonder how. He was like, I'm surprised we haven't fought yet, seeing as we came up around the same time. I mean, yeah, that's true, but I say when they were both starting to really make a name for themselves, Korean Zombie was contracted to go serve his military requirements from being Korean. And I believe all the men have to sign on and serve for a certain amount of time. So he had to leave. As they were both making their names, Korean Zombie had to go do his military duties. So that's clear to me why those 2 haven't met. And especially with how Zombie would get so close to the top of contention, and then once he fights those guys that just know how to circle, he was getting pieced up because he just chases. He used to just chase the fighters. Now he cuts off the octagon, but didn't do too much against someone like Volkanovski. And I don't think he's gonna look too good against someone like Max Holloway. Dude, he's fucking gigantic. Alright? Look like 2 different weight classes. Yeah, Arnold Allen's fucking swole, but Max is fucking gigantic, dude. He's fucking gigantic. So that was that with that, man. I don't know what's next for Allen. What if he went balls to wall in the first round? Who knows? It didn't happen. I don't know what's next for him. Maybe, I think a better fight for him would be Korean Zombie. I think Arnold Allen versus Korean Zombie is a better fight. I think Max versus Korean Zombie, I'm just not interested in that fight. So other fights on this card, man. The first fight of the night, Jocelyn Edwards versus Lucy Pudilova, right? Or maybe Lucy? Is it Lucy Pudilova? either way, all right. A lot of people were rooting for Pavlova. They're all about Pavlova. Fair game to you if you are a fan of Pavlova. I'm not hating on Pavlova. What I am hating on is this fight. The judges scored this fight for Jocelyn Edwards. I scored the fight at home for Jocelyn Edwards because, as I've stressed here on this podcast, my niggas, there is a scoring criteria. Alright? There's a way these fights are supposed to be scored, and according to the scoring criteria, I scored the first round for Jocelyn and the third round for Jocelyn because she did more damage. In the second round, Pavlova got Edwards down and beat her up on the ground. She did more damage. Therefore, she wins that round. And people are tweeting like, yo, this is crazy. How do you have all this control time and like still lose the fight? Because control time isn't real, my niggas. Shout out to Combat History. Ben, what did he say? Hey, good judging. Control time isn't real. 1-3 to Edwards. Because everybody keeps, when the fighter they're hype about, you know, isn't that crazy, right? If they don't like the fighter and the fighter just controls somebody and the judges somehow give that fighter to the fighter who was just hugging him, as they like to say, they'll fucking cry. But if Pavlova holds Jocelyn down after getting pieced up in the first round, alright, Jocelyn did the damage in the first round, and then she holds her down and isn't able to land anything significant on the ground, you can't come at me with, well, she had control time. That's not what the scoring criteria says, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what it says. It says damage trumps everything, and if that's even, then we go to another thing, not control time. Control time is like if all else fails, who the fuck was who was on top in grappling exchanges? Who was controlling the grappling exchanges? That's if all else fails. Like, you guys are fucking crazy. You're tweeting about control time, which is an all else fails stat. It almost should never be posted because you guys are confused. You don't even know what the fuck you're watching. You don't know what the fuck you're watching, alright? That control time means nothing. If you take someone down and you do no damage with the takedown, or you don't come close to a submission, then nullify it. Erase those moments from your mind from the fight, because that's how that scored. That didn't even happen. You gotta do damage. Damage trumps everything. I hate when I see Joe Rogan like, they should really put out a thing of how they scored, and it's like, they did, nigga. They put out the scoring criteria, and like, it's just everybody, even I'm seeing fighters, the fucking commentators were like, this is terrible, they screwed Pavlova, they were going off. Jocelyn Edwards is flipping off the Kansas City crowd because she fairly won that fight. She's getting booed. The fucking commentator teams, DC, Bisping, they're all fucking shitting on Jocelyn Edwards or shitting on the judges, which is not fair at all, man. It's insane that the fucking commentators clearly have no idea. Like, it's like, I'm pretty upset with the fans, people sitting at home on Twitter tweeting like, what, these judges can't get a thing right, blah blah blah, these judges are drunk. You guys are tweeting this nonsense, and it's like, alright, you guys think you're fans, you don't know what the fuck you're watching, it is what it is. But like, dude, you guys are former UFC champions and you have no idea how these fights are supposed to be scored. Like, how is this a real thing here? How are we paying for your expert opinions, you know, as according to fights, when you're gonna fucking try to shit on the right call? There was one judge that made the bad decision there. 2 judges scored it for Jocelyn, and 1 judge, insanely, if you're looking at the scoring criteria, scored it for Pavlova, and it makes no sense. Pavlova did not win that fight. So I just want you guys to just go check out the scoring criteria, man. Jocelyn Edwards clearly won that fight. Shout out to Gaston Bolanos. I didn't really see that fight a lot because I was up in arms on Twitter after that Jocelyn Edwards fight. Couldn't see it too much. I was like, Jesus Christ, I gotta defend my niggas, as in Jocelyn Edwards. I want black people to be free. I had to defend Jocelyn because y'all was hating. I gotta defend all my black people. So I didn't really see that fight too much, this Gaston Bolanos, but what I seen people on Twitter were saying in the middle of me trying to weave through all this Jocelyn Edwards hate, they were saying this was like the lowest IQ fight they've ever seen. But at the same time, I don't trust I don't trust most people that think they know what they're watching here. So it is what it is. I gotta go back and watch that fight, maybe. Shout out to Denise Gomes, not Gomez, Denise Gomes out of Brazil. Finishes Bruna Brazil with an S. Both from Dana White's Contender Series. Shout out to Daniel Zellhuber, who defeats Lando Venata. I thought he should have got a finish in the very first round. And Jason Herzog, not Keith. Jason Herzog just let it go. He's just up. He's on the ground, getting fucking punched. He's up against the fence, just getting pounded. And this could be stopped at any moment, but Herzog just let it go. But thankfully, I was just happy Zellhuber ultimately won that, because it was like, dude, you could have stopped that in the first round, but it went to decision. Zellhuber wins. He's fucking gigantic. Shout out to Jillian Robertson, defeats Piera Rodriguez via armbar. I thought at first, when you first look at it from the angle that we see in the camera, it looked like Piera Rodriguez tapped out, and she immediately, when Keith Peterson stopped the fight, she was protesting, like, I didn't tap. And he's like, yeah, you tapped. And then when they showed like a different angle in the replay, it's like, dude, I don't know if she tapped. So, like, she was maybe trying to like push the knee off of her and and try to get out of that position. I don't know if she tapped. So that was unfortunate if she didn't tap. But regardless, dude, Jillian was dominating her. Like, something was coming. Something was going to happen, because Jillian was ragdolling her. Once she got it to the ground in the first round, she was ragdolling her. And then in the second round, she just immediately took her down and was just ragdolling her. So I don't think it was going to get much better for Piera Rodriguez. Jillian Robertson looked pretty great, so congrats to Jillian Robertson. We're watching her. If you guys watch Jillian Robertson, man, you've really watched her mature in the UFC here, man. If you she's on a 2-fight win streak. She last fought Agapova, Agapova was a hype train. Oh yeah, she choked her out with the one arm, and people were freaking out about that. Lost to like JJ Aldridge, Miranda Maverick. See, these are just random losses, but I don't know, man. I think she looked the best. Looked like the best Jillian Robertson that I've seen so far. Zach Cummings he defeats Ed Herman. Zach Cummings, hometown guy. They both retire at the end. You get the double retirement. Then Roy Val, alright, with this clean ass knee. Just like fucking Mateus Nicolau was coming forward. I think he was going for a hook. And as he's coming forward, Roy Val just puts this, I couldn't see it from the first angle, this beautiful knee, and just hits him under the chin, fucking just puts him out pretty much, like stunned him. And then Roy Val like hit him with a soft jab that like kind of just like knocked him over. But that knee is what really had him like bing. He was fucking dazed after that. And then he finished them with a little ground and pound. But it was really the knee that did that. That was the start of it. Alright, that was the first round finish via knee to the dome, which happens again. I'm just going to jump forward. In the co-main event, Edson Barboza knocks out Billy Quarantillo. Quarantillo's coming forward because everybody says the game plan to beat Edson Barboza is to pressure him up against the octagon, keep that pressure on him so he can't throw his kicks. And as Quarantillo is coming forward, Barboza's back against the wall, the octagon, and he fucking just throws this beautiful knee and just knocks Quarantillo out cold. I was like, how the fuck did we get multiple, like, just standing knee knockouts like this? Like, it was just, I don't know. It was pretty nuts. Pretty beautiful. Bill Algeo gets the comeback victory against TJ Brown. That fight was pretty badass. Then Bill Algeo, he like, I think he like pretended like he was about to retire. And then he's just like, I would never retire in a dump like Kansas City. I look around here and all I see is a bunch of rednecks. And like, he's just shitting all over Kansas City. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I mean, I guess the parent company just bought WWE. I felt like that was some WWE promo type shit. But I was like, what the fuck is Bill Algeo doing? I don't really, like, unless he's like, I feel like you gotta be joking, because what benefit does a fighter have to try to shit on a whole city like that? What benefit? That was the wildest shit I've ever seen. Like, why would you try to shit all over this whole city? I mean, if it's what you're into, man, it's what you're into. Rafa Garcia defeats Clay Guida. Actually, Rafa Garcia batters Clay Guida. Clay Guida's team, his corner, they're like, keep moving. You gotta keep moving, because Rafa Garcia is just battering Clay Guida, and I'm tweeting out, yo, you niggas can stop it. You don't look like this is gonna get any better. They're like, they're telling him like after the first round, like, you gotta shoot. Clay's known for wrestling. They're like, you need to shoot, you need to wrestle. He goes for a takedown, and he gets pretty deep. He gets on the ankle. But Garcia is so huge, and he just, like, dips down real quick, lifts Guida up, stuffs that immediately. And it's like, well, that's why he's not shooting on him. It's clear that he can't take this guy down. He's gigantic. Alright, he's fucking, like, just built thick like a fucking refrigerator. That dude's fucking big as fuck. There's no way Clay was about to take that dude down. And as Clay's coming forward with these fucking hooks, he's just getting pieced up with the jab. Just a bloody mess. They could have stopped it at any point. Save your fighter. And then Clay kind of starts taking his gloves off, and Rafa Garcia is doing his post-fight interview, and he starts getting choked up. Because he thinks Clay Guida is about to fucking retire. He starts getting choked up. And then they interview Clay like, yo, are you about to retire? Are you retiring? And he's like, nah, I'm not retiring. I just, I want to trade gloves with my boy here because he's one hell of a fighter. It's like, nigga, you made it seem like this is like the third time niggas is like fake retiring. But I mean, you had the double retirement, then the I would never retire, Bill Algeo, I would never retire in a dump like Kansas City, like. And then Clay Guida comes in with the fake out. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Alright? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Pedro Munoz fucking dominates Chris Gutierrez, man. I did not see that coming at all. Well, I kind of saw it coming. I'm like, Pedro's good. He's in a bit of a slump, if you will. I felt like he didn't look bad against Sean O'Malley. And so I was like, he's been at the top of his division for a little while here, so I'm like, Chris Gutierrez is streaking right now, so I went with Gutierrez, but Pedro beat that ass, alright? And he had Gutierrez clearly, like, pretty hesitant to come forward at points in there, because Pedro was dropping this man. Dropped him at maybe, like, at least twice, if not 3 times. He dropped him He dropped him at least twice. Dropped him in the first round and the third round. If not at the end of the second round that I'm thinking of, but yeah, he beat that ass. Shout out to Pedro Munoz. So Jan Kutalaba defeats Bowser via first round TKO. I don't agree with this stoppage at all. Tanner was like, they're up against the octagon. Tanner is like standing up, and as he's like trying to stand up, Kutalaba's punching him in the face. Like, but Tanner Bowser is still standing up. He's trying to get into a better position, stand up, and like just as he's about to get up, literally, he's like got one hand extended, so he's not defending the punches, but he's like pushing up and about to stand up. And just as he's about to stand up, the referee jumps in and stops it, and he's just like, what the fuck, dude? He's awake. He's not knocked out. He's standing up. He's improving the position, and they stopped that fight. So I didn't understand that, but Kutalaba gets the victory. Fair play to you. Man, as I said last week, there was an undefeated Russian, Azamat Murzakanov, taking on a very game Dustin Jacoby, man, and Murzakanov drops Dustin Jacoby twice, I believe, in that fight. He looked like a world beater, alright? He wasn't even trying to use the wrestling. He was like, I'm just going to come forward and show you that I could beat your ass with these hands. And he did that. He tired out a bit in the third round, but it is what it is. That dude looked like a fucking world beater. So we have another undefeated Russian here, and he's got heavy hands, alright? Murzakanov will be a problem. And I already mentioned co-main, but Edson Barboza looked phenomenal in the co-main. As I mentioned there, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we have Curtis Blaydes versus Sergey Pavlovich, which whoever wins this fight will probably fight someone for the vacant belt. And I say fight someone for the vacant belt because you would think naturally whoever wins this fight would fight the winner of John Jones versus Stipe. But John Jones just tweeted out, wouldn't it be interesting if I fought my retirement fight against the proclaimed greatest heavyweight of all time at Madison Square Garden, which is where they talked about, like, oh, they're gonna move the fight from Vegas to Madison Square Garden. And then later that day, that's what John Jones tweets out, like, what if I fight my retirement fight? My retirement fight. I don't know how much longer Stipe is gonna fight. I'd imagine this is Stipe's retirement fight. So if they do book Stipe versus John Jones, then whoever wins this fight will fight someone, but probably not either John Jones or Stipe, because they're both pretty much at the end of their careers. So I don't know. I don't really care for heavyweight fights. I did like, still a big fan of Ciryl Gane. He doesn't have the wrestling. I feel like a fight against any of these two gentlemen would go pretty bad for Ciryl Gane. So we could potentially be looking at the next, we could be looking at potentially the next heavyweight champion in one of these two gentlemen, since they do have that X factor of the wrestling, even though you have, like, Blaydes has been knocked out by Derek Lewis, which, you know, whatever, that's gonna happen. Derek Lewis is knockout king, I believe. He holds the record for most knockouts. But as Sergey is 17-1, he seems to have corrected most of the holes we've seen in Sergey. I think I'm gonna go with Pavlovich here to win this. He seems a little bit more well-rounded, and I think he's got better boxing. His stand-up is in my opinion better than Curtis Blaydes. Blaydes comes with those overhands where I think he kind of does that Gilbert Burns thing where he can throw that overhand and then dip down and fucking shoot on you, which is pretty slick. But I think Sergey has great wrestling. I think he's just going to be stronger. I was going to say I think he's bigger, but nah, Curtis Blaydes is Curtis Blaydes is an inch taller, but Pavlovich actually has an 84-inch reach, just like John Jones. Curtis Blaydes has an 80-inch reach, so Pavlovich is an inch shorter, has 4-inch reach advantage. I think he has better striking, and we'll see what happens to wrestling, but I feel like Pavlovich is probably going to finish Blaydes. There's a few fights I'm pretty interested in on this card. In the co-main event is Song Yadong versus Ricky Simone. That's going to be a banger. Also on this card, I believe, is the retirement fight for Bobby Green. Bobby Green is fighting Jared Gordon. I think the skill levels there, I think it's just a vast amount that Bobby Green has that Jared Gordon is, a level that Jared Gordon is trying to get to that Bobby Green is at. And yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty evident in this fight. Bobby Green's gonna touch that boy up in this fight. I wanted to see Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett, but he says he's retiring after this fight. It is what it is. So excited for the retirement fight for my boy Bobby Green, King Bobby Green. Thought there was we got Carol Rosa versus Norma Dumont, Ronnie Yaya versus Milwaukee's Montel Quick Jackson. Hype about that. And then you have this Muhammad Usman, brother of Kamaru Usman, is fighting Junior Tafa, undefeated Junior Tafa. And Tafa is the favorite here, as I believe he should. I don't like Muhammad Usman. I was shocked that he won that fight to win the Ultimate Fighter. I think he's pretty stiff. Maybe he's made some improvement since then, hopefully, but I thought he looked pretty bad in his previous fight. I thought he looked pretty terrible. But that's all we're going to do today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to see you guys next week. I just not the biggest fan of heavyweight fights, man. They seem to gas out before the first round ends, so I don't know if this one is going to be any different, but it is what it is. It's either they gas out trying to knock each other out in the first round, or one of them gets knocked out right away, which either way, it's like, it's not really skillful. It's like, yeah, you guys are fucking gigantic. You weigh fucking 265, probably like way more than that after the weigh-ins. Yeah, like, you guys are cutting weight down to 265. You guys are going to be much bigger than that, like 300 pounds on the night. Yeah, you can knock people out. You all have knockout power. That's what makes that weight class so fucking whack. But if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at BabbleOn5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at BabbleOn5Podcast@gmail.com if you guys would like to hit that like button. Anywhere that you listen to this podcast, I appreciate it so much. Oh, man. I was just thinking, I was looking at the levels of, just as I'm recording, looking at my DAW, and I was like, damn, I should put a vocal writer on here. I saw this YouTube video, and it was like, this is what the pros use, vocal writer. And I was like, fuck, I have vocal writer. I completely forgot I had that plugin. That's the problem, niggas. Don't buy no plugins. Alright? You're gonna get lost in this goddamn sauce. Alright? Keep it simple. But I was like, fuck, I have that. And I know I used to put it on my vocal chain when I recorded in Studio One, but I've had issues with Studio One, so now I'm using GarageBand, which I'm honestly unaware of how to how to use a bus, how to set up a bus track. I was Googling it the other day. I mean, just earlier today, actually, but I didn't finish. But I gotta figure it out. I was like, I gotta get the vocal rider. I'm looking at these looking at these vocals, and I'm like, dude, they're not as loud as I need them to be. Hopefully you motherfuckers can hear me, but where was I? If you guys would like to follow this podcast on Twitch, head on over to twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod and you can be my patron today. Or not, man. Honestly, I probably wouldn't be my patron. I'm probably going to stop saying that because maybe I'll just delete the Patreon. I haven't really, to be frank, I haven't really updated it in quite some time. It was like the biggest perk was that you'd get this episode early, and then it was going to be like that you would get the video. But then I was like, that would be dumb to not post the video online. That's just a waste of it all. But I don't know. Maybe as listenership grows, I'll come back to this, and then we can have some actual, like, that's where we can have the real discussions, because I've had people reach out to me recently on Instagram, Twitter, about some things. I'm telling y'all, interviews are coming pretty soon here. Yeah, I was gonna, if you guys are on MMA Twitter, I hit up Funky Scouser. Just gonna interview Funky Scouser last week, or week before. Yeah, week before last week. I was gonna interview Funky Scouser, and I hit him up. Homeboy, he just wasn't around. But then he hit me up like hours later, like, "Yo, said he was hungover. He just slept late." So I was like, "Damn, I'm trying to interview all these goddamn MMA Twitter personalities." I was gonna hit up Josh the Simp, but then if you guys are on MMA Twitter, then you understand there was a bit of a situation with Josh. I hope Josh is doing great, man. I've been checking, honestly, and I haven't seen any posts from Josh other than the last few posts with the situation, man. Shout out to Casey O'Neill, shout out to Matt Frivola, who were like, they were like tweeting out about Josh and helping Josh. So like, shout out to every fighter who did that, man. Shout out to every MMA Twitter personality that expressed just how much they love Josh, man. Like, I definitely like, me seeing how Josh is on MMA Twitter definitely made me want to be more interactive with MMA Twitter. And I see all these like hundreds of people all saying the exact same thing. So hopefully Josh is alright. I'd love to interview him here if one day, if he's ready for that. But tis what it is. We're gonna have some interviews coming here soon, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you guys for being here another week. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, that make we chant down Vatican now. Down the ling chant down Babylon kingdom, that make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, that make we chant down Vatican now. Down the ling chant down Babylon kingdom, that make we chant down Vatican now.